All right, so we can praise, esteem, and honor the Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach this day. We pick this up in John chapter 5, verse 39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life. To me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. And if another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one from another, and not the honor that comes from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you, the Abba. There's one that accused you, even Moses, in whom you trust. If you believe Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how should you believe my words? All esteem and praise to Abba and Shamayim in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. So we still in Leviticus 4. We're just dropping down a little further in the chapter to kind of touch on what we already been touching on, but with an exact verse that speak to it, with some added features, if whatnot, to stack on top of what we already been doing. This is Leviticus chapter 4 and verse 13. And if the whole congregation of Yashar'al sin through ignorance, and the thing be hid from the eyes of the assembly, and they have done somewhat against any of the commandments of Yahuwah concerning the things which shall not be done, and are guilty. When the sin which they have sinned against is known, then the congregation shall offer a young bullock for the sin, and bring him before the tabernacle of the congregation. And the elders of the congregation shall lay their hands upon the head of the bullock before Yahuwah, and the bullock shall be killed before Yahuwah. And the priest that is anointed shall bring the bullock's blood to the tabernacle of the congregation. And the priest shall dip his finger in some of the blood and sprinkle it 7 times before Yahuwah, even before the veil. He shall put some of the blood upon the horns of the altar, which is before Yahuwah, and this is in the tabernacle of the congregation, and shall pour out all the blood at the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering, which is at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. Now, with this instance, and I get to the ruler part, just going to use this particular passage because it's still in conjunction with the first one we were looking at was individually. This one is the whole assembly, which we pretty much did that already. But we on the intercessor type of time. But then there's some other things that came to my mind, along with some conversations we had with a Muslim that we want to stack on top of. And then the conversation I had with a young man that moaning. While I was trying to tell him, a lot of individuals get caught up with. One thing I told him, right, he wanted to read like 11 verses. And I was like, nah, just get straight to the point. He was like, why? I say one of the biggest mistakes that individuals make is one, if you're having a scriptural conversation with somebody and it's not in a setting like this right here, you don't have the time to be trying to read 11 passages, 7 different chapters. You need to be concise. You need to be succinct. You need to get straight to the point. And then, let Yahuwah do the rest. See, everybody feel like I need to give you all. Now, I told you, man, praise be to Yahuwah. This sunlight said this came to my mind. I can remember it clear as day in my brain as I say it. I could see it right then. I was in Gregory Cove Apartments, man, off Edenfield Road in Arlington, man. I had that big old family Bible, you know what I'm talking about? In that backpack. I can't recall who I was speaking with. Hey! I can't recall who I was speaking with. But I can remember hearing in my head clear as day, but you ain't got time to pull that book out of that bag. That thing got to be in your heart. You got to be able to drop that right then and there on the spot. See, a lot of people look at, but praise be to Yahuwah, what we have the ability to do, and they think it's about memorization. I've never told any of y'all to sit around and memorize passages. Anybody can memorize passages. Memorizing passages and laying them up in your heart is 2 different things. Shalom, Brother Ernest. They're 2 different things. Most individuals can memorize stuff. It's not in them. You know what I'm saying? That's why when sometimes, back in the days when we used to, move around and politic with more brews than what we do now, they would be all amazed that, oh, he can recall this and recall that. You know what I'm saying? When really everybody should be able to do that. See, I wasn't impressed by people saying that to me, because I looked at it as all of us should be able to do it. It's not anything special. This is what the man said all of us should be able to do. That the word should be laid up in your heart and it should flow out like water. You know what I'm saying? People look at things. And it was kind of like, you know what I'm saying, example, like I was talking to these ladies the other day, right? They was asking me all these questions, man. Like, how do you keep your partner happy? I'm like, you can't keep your partner happy. I wouldn't even attempt to try. That's not my responsibility. How do you protect their happiness? I can't protect it. The reason why I had that point of view is a lot of times individuals want to make you responsible for the things that they are responsible for. You're not responsible for any other person's happiness other than your own. You can't protect anyone's happiness other than your own. Reason being, you could be doing any and everything to make somebody happy. But if those things don't make that person happy, it doesn't matter. So then once you become an individual who now you're going to do everything that this person wants to make you happy, you are forever a dancing monkey, a circus bear, an entertainment piece. And I'm not going to live my life like that. God himself don't even do that. He tell you you're supposed to guard and protect the word if that bring you joy. He's not going to guard and protect it for you. But I mentioned all that to mention this. Dang, I forgot my point. Give me a second. That's the age catching up with me, right? So, that's what it was. So they went to mentioning things about, people hoeing around. And I mentioned to him, man, when I got in the word, man, I ain't laid with a woman for over a decade till I married my old lady. They like, congratulations. And I'm like, what are you congratulating me for? And they was like, no. I'm like, no. And I'm saying it because that's the problem with people in the word. Once you congratulating somebody for doing what it is that they say that they stand for, that's your reasonable service. You don't get no pat on your back for that, my nigga. You don't get no round of applause for that. That's supposed to make you feel good because somebody said that, and because you live in the way that you say that you live, that you standing on what you say you profess to stand on. That's where we at right now, that you think you're supposed to get some congratulations for that, and I'm supposed to feel good about myself and bask in that. Man, you out your rabbit mind, my nigga. Shalom, Sister Jenny. You out your rabbit mind. And that's what's wrong with people, man. You want to be celebrated for doing what you're supposed to do. Ain't nobody finna celebrate you for doing what you're supposed to do, boy. That man said to offer your body as a living sacrifice is your reasonable service. Man, you ain't doing nothing extraordinary and out of the way. But I say that because that's the mentality of most people. You do certain things, they feel you should be congratulated and celebrated. And nah. People don't know what it is. Say they don't bring you no pride. No. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely not. It doesn't. Nigga, I fear God. Nigga, I love God. Nigga, what are you talking about? That's the minimum requirement, my G. He tell you you're supposed to be able to know how to possess your vessel in sanctification and in honor. And that's what people's problem is. They don't know how to do that. So then when somebody say, yeah, I'm standing on that, you think you're supposed to give him a round of applause and he's supposed to be blushing and feel good about himself. Man, you shouldn't feel good about nothing. That's what you're supposed to do. If you say this is what you about, that's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. It's not that big of a deal. You know what I'm saying? Shalom, Brother Marvin. It ain't nothing it's nothing. It just is what it is. I'm mentioning this here because we're going to get to Genesis 4 and 7, which y'all already know. But individuals don't be understanding. They don't be understanding that as a man, you're supposed to be a man of integrity and stand 10 toes flat on the rock. That is a segue for later on down the line. As a man, I'm only responsible for me. Even when you interconnected with others, you can bear their burdens, you can walk with them, but the intrinsic things that is in them, you're not responsible for that. I'm not responsible for another man's joy. I'm not responsible for another man's happiness. The only thing you can be responsible for is giving a man pain by willfully injuring him. Now we're reading a passage about if the whole congregation sinned through ignorance, which you already know we've been discussing. Now, then I mentioned that again because I was talking to this young man and I'm telling him, boy, you so worried about getting a cut that you want to read all these verses and you don't even realize, man, in 2-3 verses, man, it could be a multitude of information because you think it's about the quantity of verses that you read versus the depth of understanding that you can get from one passage. But you in a hurry. See, everybody in a hurry because I want to throw this out here. I want to cut this part. I want to do that there. And man, you missing all the game that's to be given, man. You're missing all the game, and I'm gonna show you what I'm talking about. Out of 3 verses that he mentioned that we looked at, that I told him, man, you know how much information was in verse 6, 7, and 8, boy? I said, well, we could pull 2.5 hours, 50 to 60 verses of understanding from just them 3. I ain't talking about 50 to 60 verses just for the sake of reading 50 and 60 verses either, man. I'm talking about understanding. Remember, he said, get wisdom, but in all your getting, get understanding, man. That's the number 1 key component, is to get understanding. If you don't get no understanding, man, you wasting your time, blood. But nevertheless, let me read this rule apart, man, and we get on to what we got to get on to, man. Verse 19, Leviticus 4. He shall take all his fat from him and burn it upon the altar. He shall do with the bullock as he did with the bullock of the sin offering. So shall he do with this, and the priest shall make an atonement for them, and it shall be forgiven them. He shall carry forth the bullock without the camp and burn him as he burned the first bullock as a sin offering for the congregation. When a ruler hath sinned and done somewhat through ignorance against any of the commandments of Yahuwah his Elohim, concerning which should not be done, and is guilty. Or if his sin wherein he hath sinned have come to his knowledge, he shall bring his offering, a kid of the goats, a male without blemish. He shall lay his hand upon the head of the goat and kill it in the place. Well, they killed the burnt offering before Yahuwah. It is a sin offering. And the priest shall take of the blood of the sin offering with his finger and put it upon the horns of the altar of the burnt offering, and he shall pour out his blood upon the bottom of the altar of the burnt offering. And if he shall burn all his fat upon the altar as the fat of the sacrifice of the peace offerings, the priest shall make an atonement for him as concerning his sin, and it shall be forgiven him. And then it's going to go through any of the common people doing this, and the same thing gets ran down again. Now, let me give you the definition of common people. Now, when you look at the definition of common people, common here is eretz. Land, you already know, that's earth. So when you look at people who are earth, land of the living, people of the land. So in this instance, it's going to be people of the land. Just keep that in your brain. But let's run to Acts 3. I just had to give y'all some background of some stuff, or why we're going to be looking on some of the stuff that we be going to be looking at. You feel me? Like I say, people say things, and then my responses be throwing them off because they think that I be tripping. Because they're just not used to an individual who may necessarily hold my point of view and perspective. Like the majority of things in this life and in this earth, I'm not impressed with. Y'all already know that I don't have no desire to do any of these things. Yeah, you go do them because you got, wife and kid. I don't care nothing about that. I don't care about going to exotic locations. In my mind, if you've been to one beach, you've been to them all. Water is water. Only difference is you in a different place looking at the same thing. You're looking at the Atlantic Ocean from a different perspective. Only thing different is going to be the architecture, the nationality and skin tone of the people you surrounded by, and the language that they speak. And nevertheless, life is still going to be the same. I have no desire for these things personally. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean, see, people hear that and then people get sorted in their brain like they feel like it's something wrong with them if they have a desire to do them. And I always tell you that that's an idiotic way to think. You should be a grown adult. You should be mature enough to know that another person's perspective ain't got no bearing on yours just because both of y'all in the word. If that excites you, then go do it then. That doesn't excite me. I don't derive any pleasure from it. To say where some people want to go here and go there and derive pleasure, I can derive pleasure from going from city to city, putting his word on the street. I don't need to go do any of these things. I don't care. Why? Because I have a real understanding of the things that Solomon was espousing in Ecclesiastes about all these things of vanity and vexation of spirit. So to me, they are of no consequence. So I just genuinely just don't care. You know what I'm talking about? Now, of course, you got exceptions. If you have a spouse, if you have children, then you're going to want them to allow to be able to have certain experiences if they so desire to have them. I don't desire to have them. I don't care. Some people say, oh, that's boring. Who says I'm supposed to live my life looking to have fun and excitement? I'm 46 years old. You know what I'm saying? And there comes a point in time when you understand, like Pimp C put it, man, life ain't always about having fun, man. Remember, that's what got the children of Israel in trouble. They rose up to eat and drink, and rose up to play. Now you ain't weird. You ain't weird. Shalom, Jamie. And that junk got him in trouble. So you have to be able to keep that in perspective. No, I would tell you that, man. Just keep stuff in perspective. And the best way to keep things in perspective is to know yourself, know your limits, know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and move according to that. That's the best way to do it. Because I'm different than you. So a lot of people who get in the word, they make the mistake of trying to pattern themselves after somebody else. You not them, and they not you. So where you strong at, they might not be strong at. And where you weak at, they might not be weak at. But you have to be honest with yourself about what you're strong and what you're weak about. Because the reality of the situation is this. Most of us in the word rarely ever comment on eternal things when we give esteem to Yahuwah. You understand? And I want us to pause and consider about that. And I know that's the socialization of the nation that we presently dwell in. Is forth is how we think about things. Most people don't give out and give esteem for Yahuwah increase in wisdom, for increase in understanding, for increase in faith. Most people don't give esteem for that. You know what I'm saying? We give esteem for natural things. But always remember this. He says, seek the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness, and he'll add that all unto you. So those are the things that we should be seeking and the things that we also should be esteeming about. Remember when we read about Paul said, I esteem in my infirmities. But see, we don't look at it that way. Now, I'm just talking about having perspective of seeing certain things, man. He tell you in Job, man, the hands of the righteous are clean and they get stronger and stronger. Come around here and look at it real fast, man. Job 17, man. I'll react to it in a minute. I might go in a different direction than what's in my brain, but I'll be esteemed to Yahuwah, man. You know what it is and what it ain't. It'll work itself out. And so that's the right verse I told. There it is. Job 17 and 9. The righteous also shall hold on his way, and he that have clean hands shall be stronger and stronger. Now listen. It's coming in my mind because I got a passage. I got two passages already ducked off in my brain that I want to go through this evening based off a song I was listening to, and it stirred into what we were talking about with those particular verses. So when we got two different words for stronger here. Now, of course, you know Darak and Zadok. So you know that the Zadok is going to grab onto his way of life. And grab it onto his way of life, you'll get Tahar, which is to be clean, which is to be pure. And in that pureness, you're going to get stronger and stronger. And you have Yashar'al, which is to add or to increase or to be joined or be added to. Yad, Samat, and Pei. But then that second stronger is Ometz, which you know is strength or stronger. Aleph, Meme, and Side. So when this one here, you can see how the you let the ox or the son or the head, the ruach of him, and I just forgot this olive inside. You know what I'm saying? And way. So you see how the way of the son is spirit or life. This is how we get stronger. If you know me, you know what verse we're gonna tie into with that stronger. But see, you know what I'm saying? But we're gonna look at it like this here. They were messing with me, man. But people were talking about stuff about whipping up work. You know what I'm saying? See, I know how to whip up work. And when you look at when you go into whipping up work, man, people think it's a bunch of additives to it. But really all it is raw and baking soda. Water, raw, and baking soda. That's all that's needed. What you don't realize is that baking soda, it cook off the impurities. That's in that raw. So for me, as far as we look at the word, is we take that water and we make it mix with them bricks, or we take that ma'im and mix it with them bricks. You understand? That baking soda is representative of the word, and it's cooking off them impurities to make you pure so you can be strong. Because we only deal with that straight drop, only the best of the best. No cut, no additive, no nothing. See, a lot of individuals don't want them impurities cooked off. So you should take your mind on what we talking about in Proverbs 25 and 4. You know, the silver for the draw so you can come out fine. So you know what I'm saying? See, a lot of individuals don't want that water to hit them bricks. See, when we put that brick in that pot, that baking soda hit it with that heat. See, you hit it with that heat, with that baking soda, cook that stuff off, man. And that could be that lust, that could be that unfaithfulness, it could be the wickedness, it could be the maliciousness, it could be the spitefulness, it could be whatever the case may be. We coming in there to cook that off. You know what I'm saying? But see, a lot of boys, they pick up with their work, they don't know how to cook, so they have grams missing. That means you don't know what you're doing. You drop 28 in there, but you're bringing back 17 because you don't know what you're doing. What does that mean? That means the people end up losing because they're going to have things missing. What them things they going to have missing, man? Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, meekness. That's trash work you selling, which means the customer not going to be satisfied. But nevertheless, come on back to Acts 3. Dwayne Jamal Bonton II. Relax. Come here, young man. Yeah, that's what I thought. Acts 3 and what? 14. Oh, my Lord. But you denied the Kadash one, the just, and desire a murderer to be granted unto you, and killed the Prince of Life, whom Elohim has raised from the dead, whereof we are witnesses. In his name, through faith in his name, have made this man strong, whom you see and know. Yea, the faith which is by him have given him this perfect soundness in the presence of you all. And now, brethren, I wot that through ignorance you did it, as also your rulers. But those things which Elohim had showed by the mouth of all his prophets, that a Mashiach should suffer, he so fulfilled. I'll read Acts 13. I ain't going to read the rest. We're going to get to it. I seen this lady on Threads today, right? And she was talking about, she was like, why don't nobody ask questions in service and things of this nature? Everybody on there said that's what Bible study is for. That's what Sunday school is for. But I'm like, yo, when you go look at this text, man, that's what they did in the synagogue. That's what they did in the temple. They say Sunday is for the pastor to give the word that God gave. And I say, yeah, man, y'all made that up. I say he's supposed to be teaching every time that there's a convocation as hell. He's supposed to be teaching every time that book get opened. Every time. And the people supposed to be able to ask questions. If you ain't able to ask questions, that's crazy. Now, whenever you set the forefront to ask questions, that's up to the individual who's officiating over the service. You know what I'm talking about? But just the aspect that you feel like a person can't ask no questions is asinine. When you can sit back and you can see Yahushua teaching in the temple, and the scribes and the priests and the elders were in there asking him at 12 years old questions. And you thinking your goofy behind ain't supposed to ask no questions in there, talking about wait for Sunday school. You sound like a fool. See, that goes back to what we were talking about last week, man. That's your fear of me is taught in the precepts and commandments of men. That's crazy. How you say you a servant of the people and you don't want to serve? That's wild. You say that's a church life for you. It's done tattooed on the average church going. Yeah, man. And I get it because those were church going people and I understood. You know what I'm saying? So I wasn't being, rambunctious with them. I'm just like, no, that's not how it's supposed to be. It's not how it's supposed to be. This is a book of instruction. You're supposed to teach them. And if they got questions, they're supposed to be able to ask them. And you're supposed to be able to satisfy them queries. What's happening with you, Yeti, man? That's simple. Is it about what's palatable and comfortable for the preacher to stand in there and perform? Or is it about the body of a Mashiach being built up so that they can rise up in the fullness of maturity to meet him at his coming, whether they sleep or whether they be awake? Man, we got the whole game twisted out here, man. The whole game is backwards out here, blood. It's backwards out here, man. And don't nobody suffer but us. Because everybody's trying to worry about this man here. That man better put, hey, man, that's what you signed up for, G. What I look like telling somebody, nah, man, ask your questions on Sunday school. Come back on Wednesday for Bible study. That sounds stupid. You think that's what the Lord would tell somebody? Oh, check with me at Sunday school. And this ain't in the aspect about what you consider the Sabbath be. Don't even ask no private questions. Don't even interject any of that into this conversation because you'll be missing the point to argue something of no consequence. To the matter at hand, we more focus about what you consider to be traditionally acceptable versus the most important thing, and that's edifying his people, man. That's how I always done told y'all, man, if you don't ask no question and you got a question, that's your fault. I blame you. There's absolutely no way you got a question. You gonna sit there and not ask it? What type of sense that make? Because you think, oh, you don't want to, I don't know what you got in your brain. If we have to stop, then we stop. And we deal with that and we can move on. It ain't like we got no set playlist going on. It ain't like it's no doggone sermon written and we got to follow and stick to the script. We're going to stick to the script. I ain't got no script. So if we got to deviate, then we're going to deviate. Doesn't matter. Hey, what's wrong with him? Just bring him here. 13:22. Acts, my apologies. Acts 13:22. And when he had removed him, he raised up them unto them David to be their king, to whom also he gave testimony and said, I found David, the son of Jesse, a man after my own heart, which will fulfill all my will. Of this man's seed of Elohim, according to his promise, raised unto Yashar'al a savior, Yahusha, who Yachanan had first preached before his coming, the immersion of repentance to all the people of Yashar'al. And as Yachanan fulfilled his course, he said, whom think you that I am? I am not. But behold, there come one after me whose stripes of his feet I am not worthy to loose. I'm sorry, did I say shoes of his feet? Excuse me, I'm not worthy to loose. Men and brethren, sons of the stock of Abraham, whosoever among you fear Elohim, to you is this word of salvation sent. For they that dwell at Jerusalem and their rulers, because they knew him not, nor yet the voices of the prophets which are read every Shabbat, have fulfilled them in condemning him. He says, nah, not all of it. Some of it was. One of them, that was just a regular conversation. It wasn't no biblical conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because they were asking, it was some ladies asking certain questions about just in life, period. And then they were asking, well, how do you keep your partner happy? I said, I can't keep them happy. Because the key thing that you keep mentioning is their happiness, which means that's possessive. And one of the biggest mistakes that human beings make is that you believe that you have power and control over that which is inherently belongs to another person. And this person say, how do you protect their happiness? How can you protect the happiness of another? You can't. You can't. And the biggest mistake that individuals make is that you think that you can, and you actually attempt to try to do it. And you know why? Because you're buying things you heard in a song, a television show, and a movie. But the reality of psychology and sociology and life is that that's not plausible or possible. And it's actually mentally and emotionally draining for the individual attempting to try to do it. Now, I've been raised a little bit better than to know better than that. An individual is responsible. Listen, man, you can love if God himself said in Micah chapter 6, I got controversy against you. Plead with me where I done did you wrong. Because Yahuwah didn't do Yashar'al wrong now day, and they still had complaints. So if God himself can't keep an individual happy, how you think you gonna do it? Because you can't keep somebody happy who's intent on being unhappy within themselves. There's absolutely nothing you can do to solve that. They have to solve that for themselves. And of course, when you get it, man, y'all have mercy on us soul, man. One thing my mama told me, man, is that what people do ain't got nothing to do with you. That's a reflection of themselves. The majority of things that people do is how they feel about themselves. That ain't got nothing to do with me. And I won't allow another person to allow me to be responsible with something that ain't got nothing to do with me. If you feel like you ugly, no matter how often that man tell you beautiful, no matter how often he tell you your hair look nice, that outfit look good on you, you look stunning, you're gorgeous, you're magnificent. It seems like I hear, you know what I'm talking about, that troop song, I hear angels start to sing. Hey man, that's the girl for you. If that woman don't believe that about herself, none of that stuff you said means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. If that man does not feel content in himself about him doing whatever he need to do with his family, no matter how much you tell him you appreciate him, no matter how much you hug him and tell him he's great and you love him, it ain't going to mean nothing if he's not satisfied with himself within himself. It don't mean nothing. Shalom, Brother Robert, because he got to feel that by himself. I know everybody want to hear that. I don't want to pour into you, and all that stuff sound good, but all y'all been living long enough to know that it's all contingent on how the person feel on the inside. Peace, Brother Joseph, man. You can give somebody all the encouragement of Yahuwah in the world, but if they carnal and they have a desire to go against that word, man, it don't matter what you say to them, man. It don't matter what you say to them. He didn't tell you that you can make a new heart and a new spirit for an individual. He said you had to make your own new heart and new spirit. He said, oh, man, can you save your wife? Oh, wife, can you save your husband? That doesn't mean that you be unkind, uncaring, or not do caring, unselfless, selfless things for individuals that you love and care about. You just know that I'm not responsible for keeping you happy, and I'm not going to try. That doesn't mean that you don't do things that they would like. It doesn't mean you don't do things that you know that they would appreciate and that could bring them some manner of happiness. But I can't keep you happy, and I'm not going to try. Hey, be quiet because I'm doing something. Go sit down. Don't chase her. You about to because you're trying to follow her around. That's encourages her to keep doing it. And that's what I'm trying to encourage. You got to understand. Listen, man, how many of y'all done ran up on somebody, man, that you love and care about, and you want them to receive the word, and you keep talking to them and talking to them and talking to them, and no matter what you say, if they don't want that word, they're not going to accept it. Because that's an inward thing strictly for them. And you have to understand that dichotomy, man. Because a lot of people just don't understand. Hey! A lot of people don't understand the nuance of life, man. That you can do things to make somebody happy, but you can't keep them happy. And you definitely can't protect nobody's happiness. The only happiness you can protect is your own. The only peace you can protect is your own. Which means you make sure that you don't deal with people who intentionally disrupt those things. Because you have some people who intentionally disrupt those things. Which is what he told you Satan was about. That he liked to steal, kill, and destroy. Because he likes to come in and disrupt those things. But if those things are intrinsic within you, and it's in you and not on you, and it comes from the inside out and not the outside in, then it cannot be disrupted. Because you can protect it. See, the thought process is that we can just protect everybody, but you can't. That's why you have all these arguments with people in the word talking about why Adam ain't protect Eve from the serpent. What did you expect him to do? Like, ask yourself in general, what did you want him to do? Because you wanted him to protect that woman from herself, and he can't do that. That's why what people want God to do, protect me from myself. He gave you the word to protect you. Lay it up in your heart, dwell in it, and it in you, and it will protect you. But you have to actually guard it. And when you guard it, it will protect you. If you don't guard it, it can't protect you. Therefore, you open into attack. We don't be considering that. And this is how people blame God. It's God's fault I did this. It's the pastor's fault I did this. No, it's your fault. So that's why we say, oh, he ain't got no demon. Ain't nothing in him but him. Because one thing that people get in the word is they're going to do is they're going to try to escape responsibility and accountability and shift it to somebody else. It's Yahuwah's fault. It's Satan's fault. It's the pastor's fault. It's the congregation's fault. Because the last thing that you will do is look in the mirror and say that you are insufficient and incompetent and unwilling and lack the desire to do the things that you openly profess to other people that you believe in. Ain't nobody come and force you to confess that. You openly confess that. But then you don't even want to do the things required to the confession that you voluntarily made. That's crazy. Pardon me for a minute. Sit your behind there. Shut your mouth. I don't want to hear you what's going on. Be quiet. Continuing on. What's the first thing we want to do? Let me show you the thing the young man was talking about today, man. Because this is what we were talking about this Muslim about. You know, these Muslims be intent on including Ishmael in his promise. Now, the reason why I'm going to walk this down, because it's going to be based off the whole congregation sinning because of ignorance, and the sacrifice being made and the intercession being made in order to make the atonement according to the offering of sin if an individual sins according to ignorance, in order for the whole assembly to be forgiven for the sin that they committed. Now, we know the sin that they committed. Remember, because we read John 17, Kadash Abba, the world have not known you, but I have known you. He said he came unto his own, and his own received him not because they knew him not, which means they did not experience him. So when it says they fulfilled the scriptures in condemning him, not knowing him who spoke them, nor the prophets when they were read to him every Shabbat, they fulfilled them. So we know based on what we've been talking about the last 3 weeks is because they didn't hearken to the prophet like unto Moses, therefore their blood was required. So when they stood out there and said, let his blood be on our children's children, they were just confirming that they had rejected the prophet like unto Moses, therefore their blood is required. But now, if this sin is done out of ignorance, there can be an offering of sacrifice to redeem them from the blood that should be required. But individuals don't pause and consider that. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what I want y'all to do. Come over here to Genesis 17, because people always like to interject, well, Ishmael. I don't care nothing about no Ishmael. I had a grown man insult my intelligence. He got mad when I told him, don't you do that. Because I'm going to say something to you. Going to sit here and tell me that promises and covenant mean the same thing. No, they don't. And this is the part of the reason why I always be stressing to y'all, man. And it's not for debate purposes, for when you need to know what the words say. See, Satan know his lie well. And you better know Yahuwah's truth 10 times better. Because he know his lies and he going to spit them. And you got to be able to know that word 10 times better to slap all them lies down, because he coming with them. And they bank on the fact that you be ignorant. This is why I always tell you, man, you got to be more noble than those in Thessalonica, because they search the scriptures daily to see if those things are so. It is absolutely inexcusable and unacceptable for individuals to say that you are a servant of Yahuwah Elohim and you ain't seeking out the book of Yahuwah and reading. You ain't got to take my word for nothing. I don't care if you don't think I wouldn't lie to you. I don't care if you don't think I wouldn't deceive you. You better go through that book and make sure it say what it say. Because it ain't me you got to be concerned with. It's got to be them people who seducing you. It say evil men seducing and waxing worse and worse, deceiving and being deceived. Because this whole nigga Satan out here trying to lie to people every single solitary day, man. And if we know this book tell you, man, if it was possible, he would deceive the very elect. Well, you better get on your game, man. See, I'm different than other niggas, man. I told you when I was in the street, niggas didn't, some of them niggas, one of the niggas we used to cop work from, he didn't want to teach a nigga how to cook no crap. Because he felt like it would cost him money. Because he wanted to keep you here. It don't cost me nothing to show you how to whip up no work, man. I don't lose nothing. I don't lose nothing. You understand what Paul say, man? He said, man, I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of Elohim. But I'm going to show you how to go in the kitchen and whip it up, man. I ain't going to hold it back and string you along. String you along for what? What you going to get out of that? If you got it, then give it. What you holding it back for? That don't make common sense, but that's what these people out here doing. And you got to peep that. You're going to be on top of your game, man. Genesis 17, though. I'm going to show you the games niggas like to play. Now, we were talking about the circumcision, right? 17 and 1. Because it was like it's two different covenants. Because Ishmael got circumcised. But he ain't part of this covenant, though. We're going to walk this down. Walk into what I was talking to the young man in Galatians about. That's going to walk it right back to this sin these people committed out of ignorance. You understand? This is Genesis 17 and 1. And Abram was 19 years old and 9. Yahuwah appeared to Abram and said unto him, I am the Almighty Elohim, walk before me and be you perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and you and will multiply you exceedingly. Abraham fell on his face. Elohim talked with him, saying, as for me, behold, my covenant is with you, that you shall be a father of many nations. Neither shall you your name any more be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made you. and I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of you, and kings shall come out of you, and I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you in their generations for everlasting covenant to be an Elohim unto you and to your seed after you. Now, we're going to look at seed in Hebrew just because that's how I'm feeling. Hey, just pick him up. I can't help you with that right now. That word is Zara, which you already know. Zayin, Rosh, and Ayin, seed, sowing, offspring of moral quality, also a practitioner of righteousness. Now, with that being said, right, we're going to drop down. You know the people who they got to be circumcised. We're going to drop down to verse 15, same chapter. And Elohim said unto Abraham, as for Sarah, your wife, you shall not call her name Sarah, but Sarah shall her name be. And I will also bless her and give you a son also of her. Yea, will I bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations, and kings of people shall be of her. See, one of the first mistakes that a Muslim will make is they will omit the fact that he came and said this to Sarah and not to Hagar. That he's letting it be known that Sarah is going to produce this seed. Didn't say that to Hagar. See, they hang on what it said to Ishmael right here. Then Abraham fell upon his face and laughed and said in his heart, shall a child be born unto them that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? Abraham said unto Elohim, oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Elohim said, Sarah, your wife, shall bear you a son indeed, and you will call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have baruched him. I will make him fruitful and will multiply him exceedingly. 12 princes shall he begat, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto you at this set time in the next year. That's the end of that conversation. No, they just lied. Pardon. Now, the covenant part is why this is important. Now, let's go backwards to Genesis 12. Then we go to Genesis 18. Because to get to the sin that the people committed in ignorance, you have to backtrack and go through all this information that most of you should already be familiar with. Yahuwah said unto Abram, get you out of the country and from your kindred and from your Abba's house into a land that I will show you. And I will make of you a great nation. I will baruch you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless them that bless you. I will curse them that curse you. And in you shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Now, what is he crying for? When you look at all the families of the earth being blessed, of course, you know this is Barak. Bat, Rosh, Kaf. To bless, to be blessed, to praise, to salute. It can be to bless God as an act of adoration. It can also be to bless, to congratulate, to steal, to thank, to salute. Now, how is all the families of the earth going to be blessed in Abraham? How does that work? Can anybody tell me how does that work? Because he said this man will be a blessing. And that all the families of the earth will be blessed. Now, of course, you have Baraka, which is Bat, Rosh, Kaf, and Hay for blessing, which is blessing or prosperity, or a gift, a present, or a treaty of peace. How is this man, Abraham, going to be a blessing unto everybody? Think about that. He said, you're going to be a blessing. And in Abraham shall all the families of the earth be blessed. While you ponder upon that, come to Genesis 18. And 10. And he said, I will certainly return unto you according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah your wife shall have a son. Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken in age, and it had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, after I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure in my Lord also? And Yahuwah said unto Abraham, wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, I shall of a surety bear a child, which am old? You say Romans 4:11, very well. Is anything too hard for Yahuwah at the appointed time? At the time appointed, I will return unto you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laughed not, for she was afraid. And he said, nay, but you did laugh. Now, let's drop down to verse. Well, I can just keep on going. And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And Yahuwah said, shall I hide from Abraham the thing which I shall do? Seeing that Abraham surely shall become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of Yahuwah to do justice and judgment, that Yahuwah may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken. Now, to do the justice and judgment is to him and his who? His sons and his household after him. Well, let's look at household, and then we'll read Romans 4:11. Dwayne, be quiet and sit down and take them damn shoes off. Now, you know when we got household, you have bot, which is house, dwelling, habitation, human bodies figuratively, or family of descendants. In this whole, a household or a family. So, I said this is going to go back. I was talking about with two different people with the same thing. But now I want you to sit back. Shalom, Mama Steph. Now I want you to sit back and look at the combo, which everybody here should already know. Let's look at this covenant being passed down before we slide to the Galatians, what we're talking to the young man about. This is good Genesis 26:1. And there was a famine in the land besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham. Isaac went to Abimelech, Malach of the Philistines, unto Gerar. And Yahuwah appeared unto him and said, go not down into Mizraim and dwell in the land which I shall tell of you. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you and Baruch you, for unto you and unto your seed will I give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swear unto Abraham your father. So I didn't read Genesis 15. My bad. Let me interject that in. This is Genesis 15:1. After these things, the word of Yahuwah came unto Abram in a vision, saying, fear not, Abram, I am your shield and your exceeding great reward. Abram said, Yahuwah Elohim, what will you give me, seeing I go childless, and the steward of my house is this Eleazar of Damascus? Abram said, behold, to me you've given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is my heir. Behold, the word of Yahuwah unto him, saying, this shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad and said, look now toward Shamahim, and tell the stars if you be able to number them. He said unto him, so shall your seed be. He believed in Yahuwah, and he counted it to him for righteousness. Now, when you keep on going to Genesis 15, of course, that's where you see that he promised him the land. Now, I didn't read something in Genesis 21. Let me knock that out. This is Genesis 21:10. And Sarah saw the son of Hagar the Egyptian, which he had born unto Abraham, mocking. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of the bondwoman shall not be heir with my son, with Isaac. And the thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. Elohim said unto Abraham, let it not be grievous in your sight because of the lad, because of the bondwoman, and all that Sarah hath said unto you, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall your seed be called. And he said, also of the son of the bondwoman, I will make a nation because he is your seed. But in Isaac shall your seed be called. Now, we could go into some gospel stuff with Ishmael's story, but not this evening. Now, Back to Genesis 26, and then I'll expound further. Let me do this now, because we can read in Galatians, right, about where it talks about the son of the bondwoman and the son of the free woman. And then when you take that into account, he tell you that if the son shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. And whosoever commits sin is the servant of sin, and the servant abide not in the house forever. So when we see Yahushua telling you that the servant abide not in the house forever, that is a reference to Ishmael, if you know the law well enough. Because he was a servant, because he was the son of the bondwoman. He couldn't abide in that house. He couldn't inherit that house. See, what a lot of individuals will look at, hold on, he said that's interesting in itself that the lands of Ishmael developed apart from them. Indeed. And listen, and then this is something that everybody mentioned, right? This is what I was telling him, somebody today. Because I'm like, the Gentiles having access to enter into the kingdom does not put them in an equal standpoint with the sons of Yashar'al, so to speak. He was like, well, if they the sons of Abraham. But I'm like, Keturah and Ishmael are the son, and Hagar's sons are sons of Abraham, but they're not equal to Isaac. When you come into application of certain things, because certain things were promised to Isaac, they can be heirs of the covenant, but there's certain things that they're not going to inherit. Because if they do, it would make him a liar to Abraham. And I think sometimes people don't pause and consider this here. So I want you to pause and think in your mind. If you believe that Yahuwah is the living Elohim, the creators of heaven and earth, Baruch and blessed be his Kadash name, and you believe that Yahushua HaMashiach is the son of Elohim, the redeemer of the sons of Yashar'al, which of course he promised to send them a redeemer specifically, along with being redeemers of men, peace be upon my man. Knowing that he made certain promises to Abraham, then gave those promises to Isaac, who then gave those promises to Jacob. Then through Moses, those promises were given to his offspring. If he don't do those things, that make him a liar. And the epistle to the Hebrews tell you, since he couldn't swear by none greater, he swore by his name. Pardon me for that. I told Logan about 6 or less times now before I sat the fire hope. Now you're trying. Stop trying. In turn, gonna make me jack slap them in here. Now, let me finish this Genesis 26, right? This is verse 3. Sojourn in this land, and I will be with you, and I will Baruch you. For unto you and unto your seed will I give all these countries, and I will perform the oath which I swore unto Abraham your father. I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of Shamahim. I will give unto your seed all these countries, and in your seed shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because that Abraham obeyed my voice, kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, and my laws. So now you see said covenant is passed down. Now, we could read in Genesis 28, if we so desire, of where this covenant gets passed down again. 28 and 10. Now, testimony-wise, when we look at the aspect of what is called, quote-unquote, Jacob's ladder, you see the testimony of Mashiach as it pertains to the resurrection of the dead. But let's continue with that. Jacob went out to Beersheba and went towards Haran. He lighted upon a certain place and tarried there all night because the sun was set. And he took the stones of that place and put for his pillows and laid down in that place to sleep. He dreamed, and behold, a ladder set upon their rats, and the top of it reached to Shamahim, and behold, the Malachim of Elohim ascending and descending on it. And behold, Yahuwah stood above it and said, I am Yahuwah Elohim of Abraham, your Abba, and the Elohim of Isaac, the land wherein you lie, so will I give to your seed. And your seed shall be as the dust of the Arabs, and shall spread abroad to the west, to the east, to the north, to the south, and in you and in your seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. Again, that same verbiage from Genesis 12 is referenced again. Now we'll read Genesis 35, and then when we get to Galatians, because they're actually doing it backwards, of what I would tell them, like Galatians has a lot of information that you skipping over to get an understanding of what this man is communicating. This is Genesis 35 and 9. Elohim appeared unto Jacob again when he came out of Padoram and baruched him. Elohim said unto him, your name is Jacob. Your name shall not be called anymore Jacob, but Yashar'al shall be your name. And he called his name Yashar'al. And Elohim said unto him, I am Elohim Almighty. Be fruitful and multiply. Nation and a company of nations shall be of you, and kings shall come out of your loins. And the land which I gave Abraham and Isaac, to you will I give it, and to your seed after you will I give the land. Now, these are the three component things that he promised to Abraham. Hold on. Say Keturah's children and Ishmael aren't the same either, but they were not all this. No, I mean, they're Abraham's seed, but they don't have a covenant with Yahuwah like Isaac does. You know what I'm saying? So what does that mean? Ishmael and Keturah's sons are representative of all the nations of the earth. They're the seeds of Abraham. They all come from Adam, but they don't have a covenant agreement to where there's certain promises or services that require. See, like we were talking about this here, a promise can be made, but there's no necessarily requital of service to the individual who a promise is being made to. See, with a covenant, there's a requital of service. There's an agreement or an alliance, a treaty, a pledge between two parties. One person is offering a particular set of services and the other is agreeing to that and then responding back applicably with whatever things that the other contract participant is asking of them. So when he say, hey, I'm going to give you these laws, these statutes, these commandments, and this is a part of the promise. See, the law, statutes, and commandments weren't a part of the promise because he didn't promise Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that. We clearly just read that. He ain't promised them no law. What he promised them was that everybody in the earth, every family, every clan, every tribe would be blessed in them, that he would make their seed as the sand of the sea or the stars in the heaven as its multitude, and that I will give you this land. That's what he promised them. So when you sit back and you look at it according to this promise, there's a manner of service that come along with that. See, hold on, Paul. Look at Romans 9, how Paul put it. Now, in Romans chapter 9, verse 1, I say the truth of the Mashiach, I lie not. My conscience also bearing me witness in the Ruach HaKodesh, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from a Mashiach for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh. I think that we mentioned that last week when you looked at when Moses asked for his name to be blotted out of the book. He asked to be accursed from his brethren, showing you the standpoint of, cursed be he who hangeth from a tree. You know what I'm saying? So he became a curse for us to be separated from his brethren, because who can redeem his brethren from corruption? As it say in Psalms. So, it's a forerunner of that what's willing to come. What is that taking us back to? Because the whole assembly of Yashar'al sinned through ignorance. That's why I say, and you killed the Prince of Life. And I hope through ignorance you did it, you and your rulers. And that ties in that part when we read, if the rulers sin out of ignorance, how when he say, Abba, forgive them, they know not what they do, that they're covered under that particular law in Leviticus 4 of him being that sacrifice of sin through ignorance. Because if they would have known, I know they wouldn't have did that. At least that's the hope. You knew they were the Son of God according to the text and you did that? I know you couldn't have known that. Because if you known that, you wouldn't have did that. But a lot of people do a lot of things. That's why we were talking about the city of refuge. You know what I'm saying? You want to be careful that you say that you don't say that you see, and therefore your sin remains. That boy done boo-boo. He came over after I started saying boo-boo.
The guy might die and I got under my bed.
I'm just letting you know, because he's going to probably tell you or you're going to smell it. He said, who are Israelites? To whom pertain the adoption, the esteem, the covenants, the giving of the law, the service of Elohim, and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh of Mashiach came, who is over all, and Elohim Baruch forever. Amen. So, and that goes into all the families of the earth being blessed. They blessed because this man who's coming to redeemer is going to come through the seed of Abraham, come through the seed of promise for everybody to be blessed. How does he bless all the families of the earth? Because irregardless of the covenant that was made of Yashar'al, what's the one thing that all the families of the earth partake in as we sing and read Romans 4 and 11? That should be easy for you. Romans 4 and 11 says, And he received the sign of circumcision, the seal of righteousness of faith, which he had yet being uncircumcised, that he might be the father of all them that believe, though they be not circumcised, that righteousness might be imputed unto them also. What is the one thing that all the families of the earth partake in? Come over here to Galatians 3. I'll wait. It's one thing that all the families of the earth partake in, irregardless of being an Israelite or not. Don't matter. Oh, that should be easy, man. That's a layup. That's a layup on the 3-foot rim. Oh. Ain't nobody got nothing for me. That's amazing. Nah, judgment is too broad. When you say judgment, what type of judgment you talking about? Yes, death. All the families of the earth die. Because if Adam is man representative of mankind, and the curse and death reigned from Adam to Moses all the way down, all the families of the earth die. Everybody. I don't care if they from Shem. I don't care if they from Ham. I don't care if they from Yafet. They all die. So when you look at all the families of the earth being blessed or given prosperity of life, it's because he came, the Prince of Life came to give life unto all. See, that's where people get the game twisted, mainly because of how the word is taught. Is a Christian person is going to exclude the relevance of Yashar'al. Oh, he got rid of them to bring in the church, completely telling you that they're going to say that Yahuwah is a liar. Because they're going to disregard what he promised to Abraham to justify, I ain't going to lie to you, white supremacist programming. Irregardless if you believe the children of Israel are black or not is inconsequential. You being told that God has gotten rid of a group of people to substitute another group of people in is white supremacist programming. They just literally are teaching you and telling you to your face that Yahuwah is a liar. Because you just heard what he promised these men. Now I'm going to read Hebrews 6 that I mentioned. Let me read it now. You say, so we all need to be joined. Indeed, because that's where the blessing comes from, because that's the prosperity of life that comes from said blessing. But come over here to Hebrews 6 so you can understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. Hebrews 6 and 13. And here in this epistle, it says that God's oath don't change. Indeed, Sister Regina, well, I know that what they teach, and they actually teaching you that God is a liar. And we can read it in Jeremiah also, that he not breaking it. Now, I'm not focused on you to be focused on Israel. It's more so for the focus on the reliability of the promise and oath of the living Elohim. That's really what I want you to focus on. Christian stagnation also owed to the absolute refusal to establish the law. Maybe it feels like a stumbling block. See, no, it's not to establish the law. That's not a stumbling block, contrary to popular belief. Their stumbling block is that they teach that they have faith in Mashiach without actually having the gospel of Mashiach preached unto them. So in their so-called justification of faith, along with saying that they don't have to keep the law, they just caught in a weevil lot all the way around the board, because they actually don't have the faith that they believe that they have. So their disobedience is really inconsequential in compared to that, because they don't believe like they think. Now, the reverse with Bruise is they're going to uphold the law in your face, but then they don't believe either. I actually had seen an individual say, you need to believe in these laws. Boy, ain't no faith in no law, boy. These niggas don't even believe in God, man. They don't even believe in his word. But that's based on how you've been instructed. And see, it's nuance. And see, most of y'all don't really be really paying attention to the things that people say, so you can really get a good idea of understanding why they think the way that they think. That way you can get a good idea of, but I don't have to ask you who taught you, because I can get a good general idea of what you've been taught when I listen to you talk. And then that's how I'm going to know how to respond back to you. Because all I can do is try to give you some game. You either going to accept it or reject it. See, but like I said, the biggest thing that people get caught up in is they looking for a cut. I'm not looking for a cut. That's what I told you today. You just upset because I cut you, and that's the faultiness in your mindset because you worried about a cut. I'm trying to edify you, son. I'm trying to give you some game. I'm trying to school you to how this supposed to go. I don't care about no cut. What does a cut do anybody? If I'm a cut you, then I would need to heal you right afterwards. Because he said he cut and he wound and he healed and he make alive. So it don't make no sense for me to cut you if I ain't going to come with the healing balm to mend the wound. That's retarded. I'm going to cut you and watch you bleed. That means I ain't care nothing about you. I came with the explicit purpose to kill you. That's why I say the Son didn't come to destroy men's lives, but to save them. He didn't come to condemn the world, but to save it. These niggas don't know what manner of spirit they is, man. They ain't coming to save, they coming to destroy. They don't even realize you got the mind of the adversary, but you think you got the mind of God because you lied to yourself. Because if you had the mind of the living Elohim, Yahuwah of hosts is his name, you would be coming to heal. You'd be coming to heal. I ain't coming to destroy you. Destroy you for what? They say edify mean to build up. So of course, you know, and some of y'all old enough to know, especially if you listen to Wu-Tang and you knew about the 5% stuff they talk about destroy and rebuild. That's all edifying is. We're going to destroy the body of the flesh and rebuild you in the image of the Son of the living Elohim, Yahushua HaMashiach. That's it. That's what we're going to do. You can't get rebuilt until you destroy the body of sin. And that means you got to take up your stake daily and mortify that member. That's the only way that you can be rebuilt in that image. But you got to destroy that body of sin first. So any and everything that is contrary to the will of Elohim, it must be destroyed. It must be put to death. It must be removed. But individuals think that you can keep that old leaven and mix it with that new leaven. No, man, that's going to be some bad bread. Boy, you got sourdough bread now, boy. That ain't no unleavened lump, boy. You got some moldy bread on your hands, blood. Nevertheless, Hebrews 6:13. For when Elohim made promise to Abraham, because he could swear by no greater, he swore by himself, saying, surely blessing will I bless you, and multiplying will I multiply you. And so after he had patiently endured, he obtained the promise. For men truly swear by the greater, and the oath for confirmation is to them the end of all strife. Wherein Elohim, willing more abundantly to show unto the heirs of promise the immutability of his counsel, confirmed it by an oath, that by two immutable things in which it is impossible for Elohim to lie, we might have a strong consolation who have fled for refuge. Keep refuge in your brain to lay a hold upon the hope set before us, which hope we have as an anchor of the soul, both sure and steadfast, which enter into that within the veil. Whether the forerunner is for us entered, Yahushua made a high priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. So Elohim can't lie. So when these Christian people tell you, oh, nah, he got rid of Israel from the church and put the church there, which is absolutely retarded because they don't understand that the church is an assembly and the assembly is the congregation and the congregation is the body and the body is Yashar'al. There is no way around that because if you get rid of Yashar'al, you just said God was a liar. How am I going to get rid of the people I made a covenant with to get people in who I ain't had no covenant with, who were doing the same thing as the people who I had a covenant with? Only an idiot would say something like that. Only an idiot. Not even gonna say an idiot. Only a man who lacks integrity to his word and his promises and his agreements would ever even think to fix his mind to say something so asinine. You know what I'm saying? Because we don't really be sitting back. We don't be knowing the word well enough to sit back and really listen to what these people be saying to you, man. Now listen to what this man said in Jeremiah 32. To go along with this. Now, again, this is not to excluding of anybody. This is for understanding purposes. But let it be clear, them people are not equal with the children of Yashar'al. You ain't got to like it. If you got a problem with it, man, take that up with God, man. You know what I'm saying? So dudes be tripping me out on that, man. I'm not finna go back and forth with you about that. Take it up with God. You got a problem with him, you ain't got a problem with me. It's 33, not 32. My apologies. This is Jeremiah 33. And 19. And the word of Yahuwah came unto Jeremiah saying, thus saith Yahuwah, if you can break my covenant of the day and my covenant of the night, that there should not be day and night in their season. May also my covenant be broken with David, my servant, that he should not have a son to reign upon his throne, and with the Levites, the priests, my minister. That being said, as the sun just went down and it's a light in the sky for this nighttime right now, if that sun don't come up in the morning, Yahushua can't sit on that throne. Then before Yahushua even manifested in the flesh. If that happened, Yahushua couldn't sit on the throne. And if Yahushua couldn't sit on the throne, then there ain't no redemption. And if there ain't no redemption, you dead in your sins. And if you dead in your sins, that new covenant that he talked about in Jeremiah 31, well, I'll remember your sins and iniquity no more, and I'll put my law in your inward parts. That means no Ruach HaKodesh, man. That's what that mean, man. That's what that means. If that covenant is broken, ain't no Ruach HaKodesh, ain't no remission of sins. Everybody going to hell. And as the host of Shamahim cannot be numbered, neither the sand of the sea be measured, so I multiply the seed of David, my servant, and the Levites that minister unto me. So guess what that means? He's going to multiply the sons of God. Because he told you, he gave you power to become the sons of God. Let's continue. Moreover, the word of Yahuwah came to Jeremiah saying, consider you now not what this people have spoken, saying the two families which Yahuwah have chosen, have he cast them off. Thus have they despised my people, that they should no more be a nation before them. Thus saith Yahuwah, if my covenant be not with day and night, and if I have not appointed the ordinances of heaven and earth, then I will cast away the seed of Jacob and David, my servant, that I will not take any of his seed to be rulers over the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, for I will cause their captivity to return and have mercy on them. That's what it is, man. Like I told the people earlier, man, it is what it is. It say what it say. And that's what people's problem is. When they see things that make them uncomfortable, whatever the point of view or worldview that they possess, it make them shift. I'm going to show you another example. I'm going to ask you a question a nigga asked my dog, and I don't even be getting in people debates, conversation, or bills, but when he asked this question, it pissed me off because I felt like he was insulting his intelligence. Now I want you to come over here to Isaiah chapter 60. And it'll still relate to what we read in Galatians. And it's going to relate to why I asked you to remember refuge. And when I asked you to remember strength, when we was reading in Job, when he said, the righteous take hold of his way. And he that have clean hands get stronger and stronger. See, a lot of people don't get stronger and stronger because they ain't got clean hands. So you have to ask yourself, why are you not getting stronger and stronger in the word if you laid hold on his way? Because if you laid hold on his way, then you should be pure because that word should cleanse you. Like I told you earlier, man, if you put that raw in that pot and put that baking soda in it, man, the silver for the dross is going for the refiner, man. We getting that purity up off of it. The only way the word ain't going to get the impurity up off you because you don't want it off. But see, we don't be wanting to hear that. The word ain't the problem, it's you. And you got to ask yourself, why are you resisting? But we know why. We can read Genesis 4 and 7 for that, Lord willing, when I get around that corner. But this is Isaiah 60 and 9. Surely the isle shall wait for the ships of Tarshish first, to bring your sons from far, their silver and their gold with them. Unto the name of Yahuwah your Elohim, and to the Kadash one of Yashar'al, because he have esteemed you. Also, and the son of strangers shall build up your walls, and their mallet shall serve unto you. For in my wrath I smote you, but in my favor I had mercy on you. Therefore your gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto you the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve you shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. Now, I have a question for you. Do Madal, where is that in the New Testament where you see if a kingdom or nation that won't serve you shall be destroyed? How would y'all answer that? Because I know how I would answer it. I gave him one just to see how he would respond. When he responded unfavorably to that, I ain't give him the rest. And this is why I be on y'all about understanding the nuance of the text, because there's two things that you should say off the top on how to answer his question, because he said he wanted it out the New Testament. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve you shall perish. They'll be utterly wasted. How would y'all answer that question? What scriptures would you give him in response? Because like I said, I gave him one just to check his temperature. And he didn't respond favorably. And then my nigga Manny kicked him down, and it was the end of it. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna give y'all a second, man. What would y'all use? I got one off the top. It's a one-hitter quitter. But like I said, I checked his temperature, man, and it came back wrong. So he ain't get. I ain't even hit him in his face. I could have hit him in the face, but I ain't hit him in his face. I give y'all a few more minutes. How long we been on here? About an hour, 15 minutes. Y'all got me about another 15 to 30, and then we off here. And again, all this is here is just setting the stage of us working backwards on what we're looking at in Leviticus chapter 4, where it says that the whole congregation of Israel sinned through ignorance. And if the rulers sinned through ignorance. Because we established in the covenant made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And we stacking that on to what we talked about last week when we were talking about Abba forgive them for they know not what they do. Because what did they do? They killed the Son of God out of ignorance because they didn't know the book. And the whole congregation did it. Because they were supposed to hearken unto the prophet like unto Moses. And if they didn't hearken unto him, he would require it of them. And of course, if you recall, required of them in Hebrew means I'm going to require your blood. So when them people stood out there and said, let his blood be on our children's children, people don't understand the significance of him saying, Abba forgive them for they know not what they do. Because if they would have known the book, that man wouldn't have been up there. But they ain't know the book. He said Matthew 10 and 15. That's what Brother Nate put out there, man. Let's see what it say. That ain't what I had in mind personally, but we're going to see what you came up with on that, though. But that don't mean what you had in mind ain't what it is. Matthew 10 and 15. Truly, truly, I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Now, for context, that's dealing with those who rejected the apostles' testimony. When they went out 2 by 2, okay, you won't receive them. It's going to be worse than for you than Sodom and Gomorrah. You know what I'm saying? So that's not necessarily referring to the nations as a whole, but it doesn't say for a particular city where the gospel was sent. Christ predicting the destruction of the temple. Not in this instance. Think about it now. In Isaiah 60, this is basically verbiage pertaining to New Jerusalem. He said the nation and kingdom, the people and the dominion that won't serve you, he will utterly waste them. It's going to utterly destroy them. Let me read the verse again. So I want you to really sit back. Don't rush your brain. Don't overthink it. Sit back and ponder in the context of the chapter that we're looking at and then the statement that's made. Let me get around that, man. I'm using the other book. You know, I ain't familiar with this book like this one here, man. But I want to keep the page that I'm on. So when we look at 60 and 12, book of Isaiah. I'm going to give you verse 11, because verse 11 gives you some insight to what I'm asking. Therefore, your gates shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto you the forces of the Gentiles, that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve you shall perish. Yea, those nations shall be utterly wasted. The esteem of Lebanon shall come unto you, the fir tree, the pine tree, the box together to beautify the place of my sanctuary. I will make the place of my feet esteemed. The sons also of them that afflicted you shall come bending unto you. They that despise you shall bow themselves down at the soles of your feet. They shall call you the city of Yahuwah, the Zion of the Kadash, one of Yashar'al. Whereas you have been forsaken and hated, so though no man went through you, I will make you an eternal excellency, a joy of many generations. Now I'm going to read you what I asked the gentleman, which he didn't have a proper retort. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Hashatan, which say they are Yahudim and are not, but do lie. And I will make them come to worship before your feet to know that I have loved you. Now, we just heard him say that he would make these people come bow down at your feet so that you would know that he loved you. You understand? So I'm like, why is you asking this man about that when you know that this is what this man said? Now listen, here's the next part of the play. If you want to know how to answer the question that he asked of where is it at that the nation and kingdom that will not serve you shall be utterly wasted, come over here to the book of Revelation, chapter 20, verse 7. And it reads, Revelation chapter 20, verse 7. And when the 1,000 years are expired, Hashatan shall be loosed out of his prison. He shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and encompassed the camp of the saints about and the beloved city, and fire came down from Elohim, from Shamahim, and devoured them. Now, of course, you should remember from in what you call it, man, Ezekiel 38 and 39, right? Remember in Ezekiel 38, he told you, man, that's a city of unwalled villages, you did. And to tell you about, he said he put hooks in Gog and Magog's jaw and bring them back, and that the people felt comfortably in the city with unwalled villages. So what you see in Ezekiel 38, which is referenced in Revelation 20 and 7, all the way to 10, is the reference of Isaiah 60 and 12, when he says the nation and kingdom that will not serve you, he will utterly destroy them and waste them. And this is what I be meaning on, you have to slow your mind down. Pay attention to the text to catch the nuance, because people don't be catching that. Because, case in point, why I say that. Come back to Isaiah, right? Just on the back end of the chapter, you did. Listen to what he says about this particular city. This is in verse 18. Violence shall no more be heard in your land, wasting nor destruction within your borders. But you shall call your walls salvation and your gates praise. They didn't even, Gog and Magog don't even get a chance to get inside the city to even do what they had in their mind to do. Hey, man, chill out. The sun shall no more light by day, neither for brightness shall the moon give light unto you. But Yahuwah shall be unto you an everlasting light, your Elohim, your esteem. The sun shall no more go down, neither shall the moon withdraw itself, for Yahuwah shall be your everlasting light, and the days of your mourning shall be ended. Your people also shall be all righteous. They shall inherit the land forever. The branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be esteemed. That inheriting the land forever takes you right back to the promises that we read that he made to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But the issue with you, especially if you read Revelation 21 and 22, but 21 specifically, about how he said that there would be no sun and no moon, so on and so forth. This is letting you know that the children of Israel have been redeemed. And there's no violence in her city. Gog and Magog has been deceived by Hashatan. Well, if they've been deceived by Hashatan to go up and fight him, it's because not number one, they don't want to serve Yahuwah. Because if you recall, Isaiah 2 tell you that they'll all go up to Jerusalem to get the law from Zion. So they getting the word from Yahusha. They don't want to serve Yahusha. They don't want to serve Yashar'al. Satan gonna come up. Hey, man, I'm out my prison, man. Hey, man, I'm out on bond. He gonna run around and deceive them people, and they gonna go up to battle. And since they wouldn't serve them, utterly destroy them. Simple. Simple. Very, very simple, straight and direct. Will everybody accept that? Who knows? Who cares? You know what I'm saying? But when you understand the totality of the word, man, it say what it say. Listen, right? I told y'all before. If people don't believe in the word, fine. So what? What that mean to me? What that mean to you? If people don't agree with you, so what? Do you understand what the text is communicating? Because if you understand what the text is communicating and you believe that to be the word of Elohim, certified and true, then what other people say doesn't really matter. Because again, especially with the gentleman who I was discussing that with, when he was, you know what I'm saying, messing with my dog, man, a lot of these people have the same arguments about the same topics. Because the only objective they want to do is to try to make the opposite side of the spectrum of whatever topic they're arguing look bad to get a cut, to say, I got a one up on you. Very few of them actually read the text for the purposes of edification till salvation, to be able to disseminate the word to add value to the hearer. So they're not going to pick up on those certain things. My objective is, even in hearing said conversations, that when things like that arise, that we can be able to communicate these things to y'all so that y'all can be able to pick up on them things for your own edification, not to argue with a goofy nigga, not to argue with a goofy cracker. If a cracker want to tell you, oh, children of Israel have been replaced by the church, then let him believe that. You know better than that. If he want to believe, nah, that ain't talking about what happened with God, then let him believe it. Let him believe it. It doesn't matter. Do you have understanding? Do you have the faith that produces everlasting life? Have you become a son of Elohim, not born by the will of man, nor of blood, nor of the flesh of Elohim? Then that's all that matters. You can't get hung up on what, oh, this person don't believe that. I don't care what that nigga believe. I don't care what he agree with. I don't care. Don't care. Man, I'm trying, and you know why I keep focusing that with y'all, man? So y'all can unask yourself from unnecessary burdens. That's an unnecessary burden, man. And again, it rings true. Y'all have mercy on this soul, man, because I was thinking about Cuz the other day about something else, man. When Cuz told me, and I done told y'all that plenty of time before, man. When Cuz told me, man, boy, you know what you talking about? I was like, yeah, then what you arguing with him for? That make you the fool. He was like, let him be ignorant. And it's crazy that, of course, you know what I'm saying, this son that he told me in 1995, 1996. Then I get in the word 2008, 2009. So you talking about, say 95, man, about 14 years later, that the book say, Paul said, if a man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. Now, of course, I ain't know no word, and I don't think Cuz wasn't on no word. Cuz was a 5%. You know what I'm saying? But it's the aspect of, Big Cuz told me this when I was a kid. And I see the word of God say the same thing. Then I sit back and I read, he said, well, if they want to accept your testimony, slide. And after the second admonition, third admonition, reject them. So then when you sit and you take that into account, the word is telling you stop carrying unnecessary burdens of trying to convince someone of something that they're determined to reject. You're not doing the work of truth by doing that. That's your own vainglory. That's your own pride and stubbornness that you think that you just want to win an argument versus letting it be. I gave you the information and you rejected it. I already know it's right. So I don't need any convincing. So I'm out. But I told y'all people be doing that because you're trying to convince yourself you don't believe it. So since you don't believe it, you don't have enough confidence to walk away. And that'd be a lot of people problem with a lot of things in life, man. You don't have the confidence to walk away. I'm not going to drive myself crazy to prove nothing to you, nigga. Who is you? I know who I am. I know what I do. I know what I don't do. I know the validity of the information that I presented to you. I have nothing to prove to you. The information has proven itself. You say, man, does some people unbelief make the faith of Elohim of none effect? God forbid. That's why I would tell you what Cuz told me that in the line up with the book, man. If that nigga ignorant, man, let that nigga stay like that if you know what you talking about. You know how frustrating it is to try to prove something to a dummy? You can't. It's virtually impossible. The epistle of the Galatians, man, 3 and 6, though. Even as Abraham believed Elohim and it was counted to him for righteousness. Hey, be quiet, boy. Which is what we read in Genesis 15. This is the passage of information I told Jit, slow down. Because there's a lot of information contained in these 3 verses. And you trying to speed through. Then verse 7. Know you therefore that they which are the faithful are the same as the sons of Abraham. Where did we see that at? Because in Genesis 17, you've seen everybody who was in his household were circumcised with him that make them of the household of the faith because of the faith of Abraham. But let's continue. And the scripture foreseeing that Elohim would justify or make righteous the heathen or the nations through faith, preached the gospel under Abraham, saying, preached before the gospel under Abraham, saying, and you shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. So when we read that in Genesis 12, and then we seen it again in Genesis 28, it's testifying of Yahushua HaMashiach. That's why it's telling you he preached the gospel before. Because how are all the nations of the earth blessed? They're blessed in his body. The body of sin that was made to his body, which became sin, who knew no sin, to redeem you from the curse of sin, which is death. Because the price, ransom of a man's life is his riches, so that kofar, he became that price of life. He became that redemption price. He became that. How do we know that? Because we know because of Luke chapter 3 and Adam, who was of Elohim, because he's the kinsman redeemer. Yahushua, the only one who could redeem Adam. But that's because most Israelites are not taught about the kinsman redeemer and Yahushua having to redeem or buy back Adam. And most Christians ain't taught about it neither. It may be alluded to, but it's not elucidated on in an in-depth fashion. They can understand this is how the other nations are able to participate, because they all come through Adam, because in Adam we all die. So therefore, who can redeem you from death? Because Israelites are only worried about getting redeemed from that covenant on Sinai. They can't understand before the covenant on Sinai, you got the covenant of death that needs to be eradicated in Genesis 3 and 19 that Adam agreed to. And who's going to redeem Adam? The only person who can redeem Adam is God. Because he has no other near kinsmen. God is his only near kinsman. Everybody else came forth from him. You say definitely not to mention once in church setting, from what I see. Not mentioned once in church setting. Word. And I'm referencing that again to y'all for a reason. I know I've referenced it plenty of time before. Like, you have to really understand that. Who gonna redeem Adam? That's why he kept calling himself the son of Adam, the son of Adam. Who gonna redeem him? Who in this world could redeem Adam? Adam ain't have no genealogy, no father or no mother. So who gonna redeem him? The only person who can redeem us is he whose image he was made in. That's the only person who can redeem him. And that's what he missed, which I meant on those three passages, how far further we can go, especially when we go to talking about the gospel was preached beforehand, that in you shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. Because that's how all the nations of the earth are going to be blessed. Verse 9, so they which be of faith are Baruch with faithful Abraham. For as many as are the works of the law are under the curse, for it is written, cursed is everyone that continue not in all things which are written in the book of the law to do them. But no man is justified by the law in the sight of Elohim. It is evident, for the just shall live by faith, referring back to the prophet. And the law is not of faith. The man that do them shall live in them. Hamashiach have redeemed us from the curse of the law, being made a curse for us. For it is written, cursed is everyone that hang on a tree. Now, a lot of individuals hear that curse of the law, and obviously, based on how they're instructed, they're going to think that's Deuteronomy 28. And they're not going to pay attention that before you had a Deuteronomy 28, dust you are and dust you shall return. You got that curse. What about the redemption from that curse? We don't know. Nobody stops and mentions that to nobody. Because again, and I get it, because it's going to be Israelite focused. And I get it. I understand it. But being Israelite focused, you don't just divert from the actual work. Okay, we the children of Israel. Now what? Knowing you a child of Israel is not going to get you out of the penalty of death. Because Adam wasn't an Israelite. Now, because you know the brothers were having a conversation the other day. We don't look at the genealogy of Matthew and Luke as that's Mary's genealogy and that's Joseph's genealogy. Never held to that. I see why people do. Haven't done that. Why? Because when we look at Matthew, we see that that is the validation of confirming the promises made to Abraham and David. The confirming that the blessing and the seed that is in Abraham that was promised, and that David would have a son to sit upon his throne. And as we just referenced, we look at Luke's genealogy as tying him back to Adam to redeem man from death. That's it. It ain't, but that's of course because we look at things according to the testimony of Yahushua and the plan of salvation. So therefore, we're not going to approach everything from a carnal point of view. That's why everybody say, well, how can it be? Because you know what I'm saying, the genealogies are different. Of course the genealogies are different. Because they're showing forth a different two sets of works. Nevertheless, Omar mentioned 1 Samuel 2:25. For if one man sin against another, the judge shall judge him. But if a man sin against Yahuwah, who shall entreat for him? Now, when we look at entreat, and I ain't going to get to the intercessor part today. Lord willing, we do on the Shabbat. When we look at this Hebrew word for entreat, palal, to intervene, to interpose, to pray. I'm sorry, pay, lamad. To mediate, to judge, to intercede, to pray. By extension, to intercede, to entreat, to make supplication, to be an intercessor. You sin against God, who gonna intercede for you? Adam didn't sin against man, Adam sinned against God. So who can intercede on his behalf? Only God can do that. There's nobody who can do that for him. Heck, ain't nobody who can do it for you or me. Now, with that being said, I want you to come over here to 2 Corinthians chapter 12. The setting when I was talking about strength and refuge. And that's going to set the stage, y'all willing, for what we're going to deal with on the Shabbat. You did? So this is 2 Corinthians chapter 12, man, verse 13. Y'all already know what it is. And from that, we're going to tie it into the verse that needs no introduction. If you've been around here long enough, Isaiah 26:3. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7. I said verse 13. My apologies, but that ain't what we need. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, the epistle of 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 7. Lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Hashatan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. For this thing I besought the Lord thrice, that it might depart from me. He said unto me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, will I rather esteem in my infirmities, that the power of a Mashiach might rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities and reproaches and necessities and persecutions and distresses for Hamashiach's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Now, I came here for the aspect that he said, my strength is made perfect in weakness. Now, I know in reality, especially living in America, most of our people do not desire to exhibit, participate, or be involved in any manner of weakness. So therefore, individuals have a desire to, kind of overcompensate for how tough and strong that they might be. I get it. I understand it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not necessarily ridiculing anybody for it, but in doing so, it actually is a form of weakness because you're really not that strong. You're really projecting to a certain extent to not deal with particular weaknesses that you may possess. Now, I say that because all of you know, if you've been around here long enough, what I'm about to say. When the Mashiach was weak and exceedingly sorrowful unto death, this man sent a Malachim down to strengthen him, which of course you should know that from Ecclesiastes, 2 is better than 1. Because if your brother be cold, who can warm him? And if he fall, who gonna pick him up? You know what I'm saying? No, for sure, Joseph, man. You know what I'm saying? Because there's going to be an instance in every man's life when he's going to have a moment of weakness. A moment of weakness does not define you as a man. Living in weakness is what will define you as a man. Meaning you allow said weaknesses to define you if those weaknesses lead to negative attributes or conduct. Now, Paul understood that if I take pleasure in these weaknesses, meaning these persecutions, meaning these necessities, meaning these distresses, meaning this dishonor from reproach, which I meant to read that earlier when we read that you got to take that sacrifice outside the camp. They tell you join Yahushua HaMashiach outside the camp and suffer his reproach. Let me read that for you since I said it out loud. Let me do that. Let me keep it gangster for you real quick, like, man. Hebrews 13, if you would. We're going to come out. Dwayne Jamal. Now you're getting beside yourself, man. This is Hebrews 13 and 10. I'll make it 8. I make it 7 just because. Remember them which have the rule over you, who have spoken unto you the word of Elohim, whose faith follow, considering the end of their conduct. Consider the end of Abraham, like we read in Isaiah 50. Look unto your father Abraham, which you were the rock, which you were hewn. Consider the end of his conduct. Consider the end of the conduct of Yahushua. Look at them and consider that conduct. Yahushua HaMashiach, the same yesterday, today, and forever. Be not carried about with diverse and strange doctrines. For it is a good thing that the heart be established with grace and not with meats, which will not profit them that have been occupied therein. Now, I told my dog this the other night, right? He said, man, I want to debate. You know, he just be talking smack. But I was like, man, I ain't finna do that with you. And he was like, we can have a discussion. He mentioned Gentile salvation. I'm like, bro, I'm not finna have that conversation with you. I don't care about the topic. Don't care. And then the young man who was talking about that today, he mentioned, I told him, bro, I don't care about that. And like Barry said, took the wind out of his sails. Because those are those diverse and strange doctrines that he's talking about. That don't profit nobody. So I'm not going to participate. I'm not going to participate. I absolutely and abjectly refuse to participate. And that'd be hard for people to fact. And again, this is not to disparage nobody. I'm trying to give you the understanding of the landscape, whether it's Christian or Hebrew, the landscape of the mindset of the majority of the people who are espousing the word. Most of them only care about diverse and strange doctrines that don't profit the people who are perpetuating them and the people who are receiving them. No one benefits and gets any gain from it. And a lot of people be amazed when somebody says, no, I don't want to participate in that. Because too many people are willing to participate because you've been convinced that this is defending the faith. You're not defending the faith. You're making a fool out of yourself and your God. But you don't realize that's what you're doing. Because somebody told you this is what you're supposed to do. This man's word is not to be used for blood sport. It's not to be used for someone's entertainment. It's not to be used to battle. I cut you, I won. That's not what this man's word is for. And if you think his word is for that, you are an idiot, sir. He said, you'll see great men go through this process repeatedly and know it and articulate it intimately. He said, I know what you mean about refusing continuously, verbally, and mentally paid. Yeah, man, I'm not going to do it. We can have a conversation about passages, but I'm not going to let somebody sucker me into non-Israelites or non-Israelites and be say, I don't care. If you think Israelites only going to be saved, then believe that. And if you think Gentiles can be saved, then believe that. I'm just going to go with what's written on this paper. I really don't care who agrees with it or not. It doesn't matter because it's not me you got to agree with. You got to agree with God. But again, people will argue things of this nature to divert from the fact of dealing with the things of the heart, dealing with the things of the spirit, dealing with the things of being born again, dealing with the things of having clean hands, dealing with things of being strong, to be built upon the rock, to be in that city of refuge, anything to not deal with the wickedness that exists within themselves. So I have to be bandied about with topics of no consequence, because that way I never have to face myself. Because if I have to face myself, I don't like what I see and I don't want to look at it. So I have to hide behind the cloak. I got to wake my people up to their nationality. I got to hide behind all these other things. Because if I don't hide behind those things, when I look in the mirror, I see an unbelieving, unrepentant sinner, cursed and damned for hell. And I just don't want to deal with the fact that I don't have it in me to perform the works of greatness. Because everybody is not desirable to the disciplined consistency that is required to become great. We already know it say, hey man, Yahushua shall be called great. It takes something to be great. There's sacrifices that have to be made. There's discipline that is required, meaning, i.e., I die daily, take up your stake daily and follow me and mortify your members, for he that suffer in the flesh ceases from sin. But the only way you could do that is because, as Elohim has said unto me, I have believed it. I believe, therefore I have spoken. See, it's not faith as in forth as you just don't believe in something that you can't see. You have faith in the steadfastness and reliability of the individual who spoke it. Amen. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's what that about, man. And but also I gotta tell people, man, y'all don't serve nobody for real. You don't teach nobody for real. See, what you have, unfortunately, on the internet and why you see the things that you see with the incessant amount of debates in any platform where religious people congregate at on a consistent basis is that most of these individuals are not instructors of salvation to anyone. They're not of service to anyone. So the biblical flex that they get is to argue and debate with other people who don't serve anyone. Because when you serve other people, you have to be focused on delivering up what is profitable to the people that you serve. So when you're worried about cooking up information that's profitable to the people that you serve, you can be in environments where other people may be having a blood sport and it's of no concern to you to participate. Because the type of work that you serving is not going man, the word was in my brain and it went away. It's not going to mesh well. It's not going to jibe well. It's not going to work well. It's not going to fit in well with what they're doing. Because you're going to be dealing with judgment, mercy, and faith, and that's going to be weightier than any debate. If people want to have a scholastic debate to exercise their scholastic chops, I don't have any offense to it. I don't have no problem with it. You can do whatever you want to do. But when it comes down to that's your singular focus, to the point that you can't see the magnificent, merciful, loving, good, and righteous works of the Almighty Elohim, Yahuwah of hosts is his name, then that's going to be a problem. As I told you before, I could have all the debates with them dudes and crack their whole skull wide open to the white meat, man. Do you like Hannibal Lecter did on Hannibal, man? You know what I'm saying? Cut your brain open, fry it, and eat it for dinner if that's what I so desire to do. But what benefit is that to anyone? That's not going to be nothing but service to my own ego. That's all that's going to be. And is the word really for that? That's the question you got to ask yourself. Is the word really for that? And if it's not for that, and if it's for salvation, then what you in it for? You in it for a nice house? You in it for your bills to be paid? Because this man already told you he could take a poor man from a dunghill and set him amongst kings, what? This man already told you that. This man already told you, man, seek the kingdom of Elohim first. I can add all that unto you. That means it's light. That means it's light. But can you maintain that same reliability to Elohim if those things are absent? What is your faith and service to your God predicated on? Is it predicated upon your comfortability in this life? Is it predicated on all your desires being fulfilled? What is it predicated on? What did you come in this game for? You know what I'm talking about? Because that man said, hey, man, you need to go back and remember and do the first works, man. Remember your first love, lest I take this candlestick from you, blood. And people don't be thinking about that. And that's why sometimes I use the verbiage that I use. I'm going to dress how I dress regardless. You know what I'm talking about? But nevertheless, because I want you to be distracted by the things that you really consumed about to magnify the fact that you don't want the word. That the word is not what you got in this game for. That salvation wasn't your number one rhyme, reason, and purpose. You were banded about among many things. But you didn't want that best part. Because he told you that best part can't be taken away. You understand? Shalom, Brother Marcus, man. And we got to weigh and consider because we got to be better than that. When you sit back and remember we did that deep dive, looking at all them assemblies in Revelation, man, and what he rebuked them for? Save one. And the one he didn't rebuke them for is because they were emblematic of the one thing that the text wanted you to be able to perform, and that's love, man. That's love, man. Love for Elohim, love for your brother, love for yourself. Because you can't love God and you can't love your brother if you don't love yourself. Because if you in the image of Elohim and you hate God, then you're going to hate yourself and therefore you're going to hate your brother. Ain't no way you're going to be able to show no love, man. It's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. Nevertheless, Hebrews 13:10. We have an altar whereof they have no right to eat, which serve the tabernacle, for the bodies of those beasts whose blood is brought into the sanctuary by the high priest for sin are burned without the camp. Wherefore Yahushua also, that he might sanctify the people with his own blood, suffered without the gate. Let us go therefore unto him without the camp, bearing his reproach. That's what a lot of people don't want to do. When we looking at that sacrifice for that sin or out of ignorance, they'll take that bullock outside the camp and burn it, man. And you don't want to go outside the camp and suffer that dishonor with that man. You want to stay in there with them Christians, boy. You want to stay in there with them Israelites instead of going out there and suffering with the Lord, because you don't want to suffer. See, people look at, let me give you the definition of suffering in this particular passage. Because it's not referring to suffering in the context of how most of us would look at suffering. When we look at suffering in Greek, it's pasco, to be affected, to have been affected, to feel, to have a sensible experience, to undergo. In a good sense, to be well off. In a good case, in a bad sense, to suffer badly, to be in a bad plight. To experience a sensation or an impression, usually painful. Feel, passion, suffer, vex. So again, in this instance, it's something that you're going to be able to feel, or a sensible experience. A sensible experience, which would take us back to Yada, which is to know by experience. And a lot of people don't want to go outside that gate so they can know God by experiencing, by having an experience with Him. That's why you don't want to go outside the gate and suffer, because you don't want to have an experience with Him. That's what people's problem is, man. So it's better for you to stay inside the gate. I'm gonna stay with the Christians, man. I'm gonna stay with the Israelites, man. I ain't gonna go out there with a my shop, because I don't want to suffer with him. I don't want to go through that experience he went through. But that experience made the captain of your salvation perfect through said sufferings. Let's look at sufferings in the Greek in that particular passage I just referenced in Hebrews 5, man. Verse 7, who's in the days of his flesh, when he offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him that was able to save him from death, and was heard that he feared. And though he were a son, yet he learned obedience by the things which he suffered. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. So when we look at suffered again, same word. Now that experience is going to come with some pain, but that pain is what comes through the aspect of what? The furnace of affliction that everybody got to go through. You got to go through the refiner's fire. A lot of people don't want to go through that fire because they don't want them imperfections cooked off. So I said earlier, man, we come in here, man, with your word, man. We take that water or that mayim or that ruach, and we put it in the pot with that brick or that word. You know what I'm saying? Or that raw coat, we put it in there and we whip it up, man, and give you that cookie, man. Give you Yahushua HaMashiach, it's gonna get you right. Because when you hit that, you're gonna beam you up, Scotty. You're gonna go up to Shamaim, man. You ain't gonna be on this earth no more. He said, you are from below and I'm from above. We come in here and whip that work up, man. We trying to go above. We ain't trying to stay on the earth with them, man. Because they're gonna be sensual and carnal. So therefore, that's the only thing they're gonna understand. That's the only thing that they can pick up on. So they're not gonna understand because they're not in this game for what they're supposed to be in it for. And that's okay. That's okay. It is what it is. But I mentioned Isaiah 26, man. I want you to come over here, Isaiah 26:3, when he mentioned that his strength is made perfect in weakness. And again, he says his grace is sufficient for you. Now, of course, you know grace, and in this instance, his loving kindness. For us, that would be kased. It's sufficient for you. Because that strength that he has is made whole. It's made perfect in weakness. Say similar to Stephanus, Acts 7:59. Bearing the reproach, Acts 14 and 19. Let me look at Acts 14 and 19. Stephen definitely bared the reproach. I can tell you that off the top of my head. Let me see what Acts 14 and 19 say. But more than so, he already had told Paul that he was going to have to suffer and bear that reproach. Now, we don't necessarily have to get stoned and stuff like that. Yeah. We don't necessarily got to get stoned and all that. You know what I'm saying? I just want you to hear the Greek word for strength before we proceed. That Greek word for strength is dunamis, strength, power, ability, inherent power, power residing in a thing by virtue of its nature, which a person or thing exerts and put forth. The rest of the definitions are not relevant to what we are discussing. Also, moral power and excellence of the soul. So, you know, the power of Elohim is sufficient for you. Sufficient is archeho, to be possessed of unfailing strength, to be strong, to be to suffice, to be enough. So his loving kindness is enough for you. And his loving kindness of course, and then he said from that loving kindness, that strength and weakness here is asanihai, want of strength, weakness or infirmity. And he already discussed what those weaknesses are: want of strength, or capacity or requisite, feebleness of health or sickness. He said it's made perfect in said weakness. Perfect here, to make complete. Teleleho, to make perfect, to make complete, to accomplish, to cling to fulfillment. In this instance, it makes you complete, makes you consecrated. So his loving kindness is enough for you. And that's why I always mention that people don't want the word, because that's not enough for them. God himself is not enough for you. You need extras. I need a job. I need a car. I need some money. I need a house. I need esteem. I need this. I need that. I need this. I need that. I need these gimmicks up. His love is not enough for you. Of course, when you know in Jeremiah, he said, with loving kindness will I draw you. And when you sit back and look at, and that was the point that I was telling them young ladies when they was having that conversation. We were having the conversation. What did you do to keep your, hey man, if you give somebody love and love is not enough for them, there's nothing you could do. And people don't be wanting to hear that. That's why people say love ain't enough. If love ain't enough, what more do you need, nigga? Do you understand how dumb that sounds when you actually understand what love is, especially from a godly perspective? When people tell you that love is not enough, nigga, is you dumb? You know how dumb you sound? And you wonder why the children is messed up in the brain. You wonder why everybody haywire, because we look each other in the face and tell each other love is not enough. So that means we either ain't giving love or we don't know what it is. Because love is more than enough. Let me tell you something, man. All of y'all, this may not be your life, right? But if you come from an impoverished area where people ain't have much, and all they had was each other, the only thing they had in that house was love, and that was enough. That was enough. That was enough. That was enough, my nigga. That's all they had. We don't have an abundance of wealth. We don't have an abundance of resources. We have a multitude of struggles and all these things and whatever the case may be. But we got love for each other, and that was enough. And you got grown people looking each other in the face and saying love ain't enough. So if love ain't enough, the love of God ain't going to be enough for them either. When the book telling you that this man say my love is enough for you. That tell us that we don't want no love, man. We don't want it. Yeah, that's what he said. Love cover a multitude of sin, man. You feel me? And we got to pause on that, man. They say love because we worry about the wrong things. If love's not enough, then nigga, what more do you need? So the next time you hear somebody say love is enough, watch them enumerate nothing but carnal things associated to the propagation and of white supremacy. When I say white supremacy, I'm talking about the upholding of a capitalistic, parasitic, destructive system that seeks to take, and give nothing back, man. And you gonna tell me that's gonna be a substitute for love? Then you's a nigga I don't want in my presence. I can tell you that right now. I don't want you nowhere near me, man. Because you think debt notes is more than love, boy. Nigga, you sound stupid. He said a house full of love will always outweigh any amount of burden. Indeed, civic remembrance in Romans 13:9. I mean that from my soul, man. But sometimes you can't say certain things because people ain't going to understand what you're talking about. Romans 13:9, because for this thing, shall you not committed for this, that, well, you really want verse 8. Oh, no man, anything but to love one another. But love have, or did say verse 8, I ain't got my glasses on, my bad. But love have fulfilled the law. You feel me? But I just want you to focus on, he said, my love is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Listen, man. The reality of the situation is this, and everybody on here being a human being can attest to it. When you were in a weakened state, no matter amount of money, no matter material items that you could possess will give you the same amount of strength and encouragement as somebody showing you some amount of love, care, and concern. See, the people who say the love is not enough is people who ain't never had nobody love them. Because if you had somebody love you, man, I'm talking about really love you, man, you wouldn't open your mouth and say something so goddamn stupid. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? We talking about people ain't nobody loved you. Because if somebody loved you, you wouldn't open your mouth and say that. That's when people say, love don't pay the bill. Love do pay the bill because I got to love you to go out here and do X, Y, Z. If I volunteer to take the responsibility on, hey, you got to love yourself to want to go do that. It's a lot of people like, man, I don't feel like doing this no more. I ain't going to work no more. Live on the street. He said, I noticed that people that come from a little more affluent background kind of miss that love. Not all though. Some of them do. You know what I'm saying? And I say when you're poor, that's all you got. Indeed. And it is case by case. I mean, and it is only being Kawitamata today because you miss stuff. But somebody got to be out there. So you teach the kids the only thing you owe anyone in the world is love and kindness, respect, because the Lord command. Indeed, that's true story. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I just also, but this ain't really wasn't no words. I forgot what I just heard. I just heard somebody say that. It wasn't in no word conversation though. You know what I'm saying? People just saying, oh, love's not enough. That's because that's what I was telling them, like, give them godly love. If godly love ain't gonna make them happy, nothing gonna make them happy. If love can't make you happy, ain't nothing gonna make you happy, man. Because it's not enough for you. He tell you that in Ecclesiastes, man. People ain't satisfied with silver. Most people don't want love, man. And it just is what it is. But Isaiah 26:3, though. Get off here, man. You will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on you because he trusts in you. Trust you in Yahuwah forever. For trusting Yahuwah is everlasting strength, which is effectively what he was telling Paul. Now, I'm going to elucidate on this further and bring all this stuff back to what we started at in Leviticus 4, because, you know, we got to lay the foundation on Wednesday to set the stage. But I want you to hear what strength is in this passage because it's a little different. It's sword, sod, raj, rock, the rock of God, a refuge. So when you sit back and you look at strength, man, it says, man, for trusting Yahuwah is a continual rock. A continual rock. You say, man, I honestly say when you experience real love, you don't realize it until you come across someone devoid of it. That's a fact for most people, definitely. But like I say, man, most people ain't had nobody love them, man. You know what I'm saying? And love is not always, you know, a lot of people look at love being predicated on you buying them stuff. But it's that, and the third, man. And sometimes it ain't predicated, can be predicated on that. Sometimes it be predicated on a bunch of other things. But man, the reality is, man, that man say his love is enough. But see, most people don't want godly love. They want romantic love. They want emotional love. They want to fall in love. But godly love is substantive. You know what I'm saying? It's tangible. It's something that can be quantified. Like I told you, man, y'all have mercy on the soul, man. You know, that's what my grandma, that's what Joanne Bonton said. That's the one thing I always tell you, I remember her saying, love is an action word, son. It's something that you do. Something that can be done, can be quantified. That means it can be measured. That means you can identify it. Most people say they want to feel love, but you only want to feel an emotion. Which is how you tell you that most people ain't never experienced love, because you're going through the ebbs and flows of emotion. Emotions are not solid. They're not a rock. They can be moved. Love is supposed to be, he said love never fails. That means love ain't supposed to be moved. That's why I always tell you, man, if people do you dirty, that shouldn't change the love you got in you. That's reflective of them. They ain't got nothing to do with you. You just don't get to access or benefit from the love that I have in the capacity that you did previously. But I'm not going to allow your malignant behavior to alter the love that exists within me. How I'm going to let a nigga who ain't got no love take the love out of me? That means the devil won. He can't win. I'm not going to let you win because this nigga's unloving, so I got to become unloving because this nigga's evil. What that got to do with me? So I would tell you that, man, don't let people in this world fundamentally change who you are at the core. What people do and what this world do, man, that ain't got nothing to do with you, man. If you a loving individual, then be that. If you like to serve, then serve. The people who value and appreciate that, they're going to appreciate it. And the niggas who don't give it to them. Ain't that hard? You know what I'm saying? It ain't that hard, man. You got to take yourself through all that, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people, man, ain't nobody love and care about them. Ain't nobody come see about them. So they, you know what I'm saying? They hard as concrete now, man. So they can't participate in it. You know what I mean? But nevertheless, the aspect of we're going to focus on them sitting in ignorance is because they couldn't pay attention to the fact that his loving kindness was enough. And because his loving kindness is enough, the power that he has is made complete in your infirmities, in your weakness. You know what I'm saying? And if your mind is stayed on him, he'll keep you in perfect peace and you'll be trusted in Yahuwah. And that's a continual building on a rock. And rocks don't move. A lot of people are easily moved. You understand? Life can move them. People can move them. But remember what he told you in Matthew, man. Those who hearken to my words, I liken to you a man who built his house on a rock. And when the storms came and the wind blew, his house didn't fall because it was built on a rock. And that rock is really being built on that his loving kindness is enough. And we see that where his loving kindness is enough at, because when the whole congregation and the assembly sinned out of ignorance and the rulers sinned out of ignorance, there was a sacrifice that they might be forgiven, which is why I will forgive them. They know not what they do. But hallelujah for Yashar'al in the word, man. We're going to stop right there for now. I appreciate y'all. I went a little, about 30 some out, 30, 40, almost 40 minutes to pass my time, but it's all great. I appreciate y'all, man. I bless y'all the house of Elohim in the name of Yahusha. I love y'all, man. Y'all willing, man. Yeah, we'll be back at it on the Shabbat, man. I think we're supposed to be to slide out there, man, to play flag football on Sunday, man. We're going to see, though, man. It's hot as fish grease out here, though, boy. My God, today. But, amen, man. Love you too, my G. So, yeah, we're going to continue down this road, man, to put all these things together, because I still got other elements of what I wanted to discuss. Peace, Brother Omar, that I ain't mailed in here this evening. But y'all willing, we'll get to it on Shabbat. And yeah, man. But just, just wait and consider. You know what I'm saying? And it's like the book say, man. Peace, Brother Ernest, man. Shalom, Sister Regina. Amen. So, just wait and consider, especially that last part, man, that his loving kindness is enough. It's enough. Then also think on those promises, peace, Brother Nate, those promises he made to Abraham, because they're relevant to all the nations of the earth being blessed in order for Abba forgive them, for they know not what they do. None of those things are irrelevant things and just, way out there. They all fit together as nicely pieces to the puzzle to get to the main point of what we started from in Leviticus 4 in the first place. And then we'll start swinging in Leviticus 5. The Lord allow. Again, I appreciate y'all, man. You know, just keep your mind focused, man. Stay steady, 10 toes flat. You dig? Y'all willing, man? We'll be back on the Shabbat. Make it do what it do. Oh, Lord. Dang, I swiped that junk off with my forearm. My God, today. This boy done lost his mind in here.